Okay, a very warm good evening, everyone. So today we have with us Mr. Ramanuj Mishra, Director of Career Launcher, Sector 62, Noida. With us, we also have Archisha Tiwari, All India Rank 412 in CLAT 2021. With that, she also secured a percentile of 98.96 in LSAT exam. So our center topper for LSAT India exam. So yes, Archisha, you are a superstar and you secured a place in two best colleges of the country, two best law colleges of the country. So how are you feeling? I mean, what's the feeling like?
It actually feels very validating and pretty great because obviously these ranks and percentages don't come out of anywhere. It's like an accumulation of all the kind of efforts that I had to put it in. So obviously when the ranks and the percentile actually gotten over, I was actually very, very, very happy because it's kind of like seeing your efforts into something tangible. So it feels like everything was not all a waste. So I genuinely felt very happy and very validated after getting to know my marks.
Great, great.
So, see the law, the way we look at this field, we say it's going to be emerging one, and slowly we see it is coming in comparison to what kids were having option after 12th. Otherwise, we're very limited options. So the moment you decide to go for a law, and you were there with us for 2 years, so I just wanted to understand when you came in this journey of preparation and when the CL was there, how you got things with you, and then how. So can you share a bit? So, okay, first year and second year, how you got and how you understand the exams as per se.
It is actually pretty interesting because I think from my family, I would be the first person to be pursuing law. So technically, there was no background help from anywhere. It was all my own initiative, like, okay, this is something I'm interested in, and I think I will be pretty good at it. So obviously, I had to seek some external help. And that's actually when we were researching about coaching institutes, we actually came across Career Launcher. And my dad and I, both of us discussed about this. So I think technically in my law preparation and everything was done by me with the help of, Career Launcher, because there was no person in my family who couldn't even understand the specifics of the subject and exams. So I think from exactly my first year and first year in Career Launcher itself, during my 11th, I got more acquainted with the subjects because obviously you study a bit in your 11th and your 12th, but the subject matter is technically very different from what they actually ask in your exam. Like your school subjects, like I had humanities with maths, so they just provided a base, but then more research and more content is actually provided when I actually joined the institute. And I think it's not just the material that was provided, but also the teachers that were there, because I think they were there with on every step of the way. From the first moment I joined, I was pretty clueless about the whole thing to when I came into my second year. Basically when the 12th had started. So we had classes every weekend, and it was pretty helpful in that sense. Classroom learning is actually very helpful. Like when you actually attend the classes and you are actually interacting with your teachers and actually interacting with other students, that is actually, in my opinion, very helpful. More than self-studying. Now that is mainly because when you are actually interacting, you remember interactions more, right? You don't, instead of text, it's always better to listen and remember more. At least for me, that worked a lot. And that's why I think a classroom program like this was very helpful. And another thing was, especially during the months of March, like before the second wave hit, we were actually called to the centers physically for mock analysis sessions, for doubt analysis, for doubt sessions, and for PTMs. I think they were genuinely like a turning point for me, in the sense that we were in our rooms all day long. I mean, we were studying, and all of us were almost, at least for me personally, we were getting so tired of studying all day long, right? And we just needed more motivation to continue on. And I think the whole coming to the center thing, like, it was very helpful because it kind of got us out of our loop and got us back into the group. So I think in those little things that were initiated by the center, and we were also kind of cooperating with it, I think it was very helpful in my entire journey through CM.
Great to hear that. Archisha, with that, if you could also share your entire, of course, you've shared your journey, but then your strategy while preparation. How did you deal with subjects, with the exam process as a whole? How did you actually deal with your strong areas, weak areas? If you could elaborate that a little for our audience, that would be really great.
Right. So first thing I did was attend my classes and get all of my concepts clear, because to basically go more deep into this, to get to the tricky side of questions, need to get your basic concepts cleared. And I think in the 2-year program, in the first year itself, you're in your 11th, right? They kind of finish everything off. So I think that was pretty helpful in the sense that I could actually build my base pretty early on. Now, after that, obviously we were revising the concepts, but at the same time, one important thing was our mocks. The mocks, you have to be very regular with your mocks, and not only mocks, you have to analyze your mocks too. Because once you analyze your mocks, you will actually get to know about what your strong areas are and what your weak areas are. Where exactly am I losing out marks on? And at the same time, how to deal with your strong and weak areas specifically. It's not like you need to completely ignore either of them. Like some people realize that maths is a weak section, so I will not attempt that. Let me just better my other sections. Some people think, okay, this is my strong section. Okay, I'm doing pretty good over here. Let me just ignore this one. Let me focus on my others. I think either of those options are very wrong. So what I did was, you have to focus everywhere. You just have to devote some more time to the ones that are weak for you. For example, logical reasoning, especially verbal reasoning, was a very weak section for me. It was pretty interesting, but at the same time very weak, because it was comparatively a new thing. So what I used to do was, I used to analyze like where exactly am I going wrong. And for me, it was basically in my assumption questions. This was one area I realized that, and I got this through the mock analysis section, that, I'm getting this core concept wrong. So after that, obviously, you have to go to your aspiration portal, you have to go to your textbooks and, just read more and more about it and practice more and more. I think practice is the key word here, because the more you practice and the more you get to know about the variety of questions, you actually get to solve these questions better when it actually comes in your mocks or in your actual exam. So this is one thing. Also, when it comes to your strong points, I just want to mention that your strong points can change pretty quickly. For example, I used to think English was my strong point, but as time moved on, and sometimes the English sections got tough, and that is where I used to get all of my marks cut over there. So I think in that sense, you have to keep preparing for both. You do not have to ignore any section altogether, and just keep consistently practicing, because that's only how you get the hang of it. I think that's more or less about it. Just practice more and more and not ignore any section at once.
Okay, so obviously when it comes to subjects and all, then Pulak will have a couple of questions for you. But when I come, I always try to see the way we actually reach to this journey. So you talked about nobody is there in your family from the law background. So you said, okay, the large part of the decision making process actually started with you, and then you did research, and then you came out with this. So I have like two questions and together. One, how do you arrive? Like, what was the key element to decide why law? So being a kid and then really want to pursue something in future. So how you pinpointed that law as a career you are going to go for it. And second, if you need to advise someone to go for a law, or so what they should keep in their head and how they should prepare themselves.
All right. So, okay. So thing about law is that it's not a very limited field. It's a very, very wide, diverse, and extensive field. For me, the thing was that I had interest in almost everything. Like I liked a bit of maths, I liked economics, but I also like social studies a lot. So I just wanted a field in the sense that, whatever I do, there is a bit of everything. I can learn a lot. And also law is a great field for those who never want to stop learning, because it's always evolving. It's not static. So if you want what you could say a bit dynamic lifestyle, or something more to learn every day, I think law is the best field for it. Also, I think I was very much into debating as a thing. I was a good debater, and I used to really love drafting my speeches and public speaking and things like that. I used to really enjoy it, especially when you were actually getting validated, when people used to say that your points are very good. I used to really like that when people said that the way I spoke or my points were pretty great. So I thought a field in which I could always learn, I could always read a lot, right? And whatever I learn, it can be implemented in one way or another. And obviously a field that requires you to speak a lot and express your viewpoints. And I think law was the best field for me. Also, another major thing for me was that I really wanted to do something for the society, for the people in general, but in a very tangible form. Like I wanted to make a very concrete difference, in the society, like changing the whole society in that sense. So this was one of the major things that actually differentiate, a bit of other career professions from law for me, because in law, no matter what you do, I think with the way you learn, the things that you learn, the things that you go through, I think you can actually help change the society in a very tangible form. And I think to all the law aspirants out there or people who are thinking about taking law, I just want to mention that, it's a great field. It's a very dynamic field. Also, you will get a lot of options. People have this misconception about law that, it's just about, going to courts and, fighting your cases. That's not what law is about at all. That's just a very small minor aspect of it. You can do so many things. You can research a lot. You can work in think tanks or NGOs. You can literally do a lot, but you will only get to know about that more if you look more into the field. So if you're thinking about pursuing law, I think definitely do your own research about it. And if you think you're a perfect fit for it, then definitely go for it, because there are a lot of opportunities and it's a very upcoming field. And I think with the way things are going, the way the political atmosphere and the legal atmosphere of our country and the whole world is changing, it will definitely be, I think law and medicine are the two professions that will never go out. It can never be replaced by artificial intelligence or robots, because these two are very dynamic fields and very important fields. So definitely go for it.
Absolutely never going out of style. Of course, it's omnipresent. Yeah. Okay. So my another question to you, Archisha, is that, of course, becomes a very important question, especially for those students who in their 11th grade or in their 12th grade realize that they want to pursue law, and then they really want to do it with their school, right? And they really don't waste, like some of them at least do not want to waste an year, and then they start it from the day they actually realize it. So of course, managing two things is of course not easy all the time, and you kind of balanced it both. So you joined Career Launcher when you were in 11th grade. So 11th grade comparatively is a bit easier, but then as soon as a student moves to 12th grade, things start becoming thoda difficult, and there are a lot of things. So how do you actually balance your school with competitive exams? Because school also has a lot to offer, and plus these competitive exams, taking mocks, attending classes are also a lot. So how do you balance?
Right. So I will genuinely mention that it gets a bit difficult at times, that, managing both. And I think the most important part over here is actually defining what your priorities are. For example, would you rather give a mock right now, or would you rather maybe write down a few question answers from a homework? That might not ever help you in the future. Now, that's a very subjective thing, obviously. But then I think what you need to do is you need to make your priorities. For example, there would be some people who might keep, universities like, Delhi University as the second option. So for them, what happens is, with their competitive exams and their board exams get equally, important. But for someone who actually wants to aim law and wants to actually crack these entrance exams, law entrance exams, I think what you have to do is you have to make your schedule in such a way that, you actually are devoting more time to your competitive exams. Because obviously it was a very special case for us in the sense that, our pre-boards were also taken into consideration. But more or less what happens, like I think even the institutes have introduced new reforms now. But actually what happens is that your CBSE or your board marks will not impact your competitive exam scores in any way whatsoever. So you actually have to define your priorities. Also, it's a matter of interest at the end of the day. If you actually like the subjects that you're studying, right? For example, I had humanities in 11th. Humanities and maths. I really loved my subjects. And some of the subjects are obviously overlapping a bit also. So if you actually have an interest in the subjects, studying them won't seem like a burden to you as such. But obviously, when it comes to your homeworks, assignments, and project work, you just have to define your priorities, and you have to see that, you have to weigh them against each other. You have to look at your specified amount of time that you have, and you have to weigh them against each other. Like, what is more important? What will actually help me more in the future? And obviously, according to your own suits and interests, you have to take that decision. And again, just saying it again, you cannot have everything at the same time. It's very important to learn that, to gain something, you actually have to let go of some other things. You cannot have everything, because at the end of the day, you only have 24 hours in a day. So that's a very important point.
Okay. So, if I go for a last question, and basically I'm left with two basically, but I'll try to make it in one. Because you did well in CLAT and you did well in LSAT also. So first question is, why you chose to go for 2 exams, because the CLAT and LAT is like two prominent one is seen in the law. Within law also there are two prominent one. But the CLAT is like LSAT is actually a new perspective. So you did well in LSAT and then you did well in CLAT. So how you manage that? And also when you be at our center, so basically in Sector 62 Noida, so how do you see the center has played a role in your preparation part? So that's why I wanted to make so LSAT, CLAT, and then the role of Sector 62 Noida.
Right. So the thing about law is that CLAT and LSAT are obviously the most prominent ones and the most important law entrances that are out there. But at the same time, you have to realize that the population of India is genuinely a lot. And the seats at the end of the day are very limited. So what you have to do is, if you're really passionate about a subject like law, in which seats are comparatively less than what you would expect them to be, I think it's always good to give as many entrance exams as possible, because at the end of the day, you will be going to a good law institute either way. If you give these other entrance exams too, you will have your options open. So the thing is, it's not like, if you only prepare for CLAT and ALET, there might be some special circumstances in which you might not be able to clear them. So that if you only give both of them and don't give any other, that means that's the end of your law journey in a way. And all the efforts that you put in, it's basically an end for that. And you would maybe have to retake it and prepare for it for another year. If you give your other law entrance exams, so for example, I gave LSAT, a few people also give SLAT. There are people giving MHCET. So I think if you give these exams, you will still get a chance to, not all of your hard work and efforts going to waste. And, you can actually secure your seat in a pretty decent law college too. It's not, you can call them decent. Some people call them great. It's very subjective. But at the end of the day, you still get a chance to, pursue law as a career. And I think from what I've seen currently, like, now that I've actually crossed that stage, is that, your college matters a bit. Obviously, I won't say your college doesn't matter, but at the end of the day, it's you who matters. Like, for example, if you work hard enough, even in your prep, even after you go to college, if you work hard enough, if you are dedicated enough, no matter which institute you go to, if it's not your premium law college of India too, no matter which institute you go to, if you work hard enough, you can definitely go get ahead in life. Also, secondly, I think Sector 62 has played the most major role in my whole complete law prep, especially like the faculty over there, because of how, it never felt like, I was being forced to study, in the sense that, it wasn't like a completely, I attend classes, I listen to what they say, and then I go out. It was never like that in CL. For example,
I felt like being Pulag is there, sometimes you are forced to study also.
Yeah, obviously. So it was never like, you're just coming there, listening and going out. I'll just give an example of Pulag ma'am, right? She always used to, tell us, it was always a very personal thing, in the sense she always used to call us up and, actually remind us to study. And she used to check up on us like almost every time. Like, regularly she used to check up on us, how our preparation is going, how exactly are we doing, and actually give us personal feedback too, which I found that, not a lot of other institutes were doing. Because what used to happen was people just used to come, they used to study, get notes, and then just leave the class. That was never the case for us in CL. Like, not only phone calls, but in the class itself. Like, even though our class time was going, I think all the faculty in CL always used to, keep us motivated, in the sense like, they always used to either you can call them, negative motivation or positive motivation. Both of it was pretty much there. Like, they used to say that, if you don't study hard enough, you might not get into any college. Then what will you do? Obviously, will you stay another year with us? Then, they also used to say that, you are working hard and, you can get through. And both of these are very important. So, I felt that, they never used to care that, we are missing out on our syllabus, we are behind on our syllabus. That thing was never there. I think the most important part in CL was, our individual focus that we got. Like, at least everyone that I've talked to, at least in Sector 62, like, all the peers that I talked to, all of us talked about how, we used to sometimes complain that, they're always on our backs, like, can they just leave us alone sometimes? But then I think in retrospect, that was the best thing, them all the faculties always, being on our backs, because I think that actually kind of always motivated us. Like, in the whole pandemic sedentary lifestyle that was there, it was so dynamic. It was just genuinely amazing. And I think I cannot thank all the faculty enough, like with the whole mock analysis sessions, with the whole big long messages that we used to get in our Telegram groups that, when we were not attending classes, that always served as a motivating factor for us. And I think that was a thing that only Sector 62 Center could provide us, and no other over there.
No, that question is basically really won't. For us, our results is actually you guys are the basic results of ours. So what do you do? We can't judge. We can judge by through you guys, and that's important to understand and then what role you play, and great. I think a great listening you
Yeah.
and right now I'm feeling like yes, I'm getting a budding lawyers having a too much thing to share with the people, and definitely what aim you are keeping, law can really change the course, and law empowers people more than that. I always felt किसी को कुछ नहीं आता ना, you just tell him what is the law of that land, he's empowered. People are worried about, people are afraid of, because they don't know the law, what is going to happen. So law empowers people. I feel there will be a great chance for you guys to make change in the world, make change in the society, and obviously for the nation as a whole.
Definitely. Yeah. So yeah, it was great listening to Archisha, to Sir, to everyone. So yeah, and of course, good to see you reaching to this level and actually finally ending up doing something that you really wanted to do. And more commendable it becomes when you, like mentioned, nobody from your family has a legal background. You actually the first one to realize your dreams and then go and chase it. So not everyone is able to do it. So of course, I'm sure you'll do very well. Archisha has always been a very sincere and a very, मतलब ज़्यादा बोलना नहीं पड़ता था, पहले से पता है कि ये करना है, उसके पीछे भागना नहीं पड़ता. So a very sincere and a very smart kid that way. So I'm sure Archisha is going to do very well in her college all her life. And of course, we say that to all our students, the bond with CL doesn't stay till your 2 years or 1 year or whatever duration, it's forever. And of course,
we are there for you guys. So anytime, because most of the kids who actually passed out from the big law schools, they are into the market. So if you need any kind of connect of those kind of connection for networking with them, so we are there for you.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we wish you all the best for future endeavors.
Yes, wish you very best. Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am.